Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off our session today. We're diving into Mega Goal 1.2, specifically Unit 8, which is all about wishful thinking. The focus will be on language in context and conversation. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore how to use language effectively in different situations and practice engaging in meaningful conversations. Let's get started and make this a great learning experience together. All right, on this slide, we're focusing on some key skills that will really help improve your conversational English. First, we have match. This means you'll be practicing how to connect words with their meanings, which is essential for expanding your vocabulary. Next, practice involves reducing the pronunciation of words like could and would, so you'll sound more natural and fluent when speaking. Then there's listen. This is about tuning in carefully for specific information during conversations, which helps you understand and respond appropriately. After that, answer emphasizes answering some questions about the conversation, so you can practice your comprehension and speaking skills. We also have use, which is about applying real-talk expressions correctly in different situations, making your speech more authentic. Finally, discuss encourages you to talk about topics like wishes, helping you express desires and hopes clearly. These objectives are all about building your confidence and skills in real-life communication, and they're connected to the bigger goal of making your English more natural and effective. So if I could make 3 wishes, I would start by asking for jobs for my sisters. It's important because having steady employment can really change their lives, providing stability and opportunity. Next, I would wish for a new car for my father. A reliable vehicle would make his daily commute easier and safer, and it shows how much I appreciate all he does. Lastly, I would ask for a big house for my family. Having a spacious home would give us room to grow, create wonderful memories, and feel truly comfortable together. These wishes reflect my desire to support and improve the lives of my loved ones, which ties into the overall theme of caring for those we cherish and making a positive difference. She wishes she were so clever. She wishes she were a talented writer. She wishes she had the right kind of materials to help, so they wouldn't have to ask anymore. To think of new ideas. She wishes she could do something to help. She wishes they had money for this. So, assimilation is a type of sound change, where certain sounds become more similar to neighboring sounds. It's a natural process in speech that helps make pronunciation smoother and more efficient. For example, when a word ends with a D sound and the next word begins with a J sound, these two sounds tend to blend together. Instead of pronouncing them separately, they merge into a /// sound, which is like the J sound in jump. This particular process is called assimilation because the sounds are changing to become more alike. It's a great example of how our speech adapts in real time to make communication quicker and more fluid. Understanding assimilation is key to grasping how spoken language evolves and how we naturally adjust our pronunciation based on the sounds around us, fitting into the broader theme of how speech patterns develop and change over time. So, on this slide, we see a little contrast between Michael and Yousef. Michael wouldn't have many plans if he won, while Yousef would have lots of ideas about what to do with the prize money. It's a fun way to think about their different personalities and attitudes toward winning. Now, if they did win the prize, what kind of plans might they make? That's what we're curious about here. Do they really win the money, or is this just a hypothetical scenario? The slide asks, did Yousef and Michael really win the money? Which makes us think about whether this is a real event or just a story or a question for us to consider. There are only 2 people involved, Yousef and Michael, and the conversation is centered around the idea of winning a prize. We're exploring what their thoughts and plans might be if they actually came into some money. Before we go further, keep in mind that this part of the presentation is about understanding different attitudes toward winning and how people might react differently. It also ties into the overall theme of expectations and reactions when faced with unexpected opportunities or rewards. Let's take a closer look at this slide. Here, we see a bit of a back and forth between Yousef and Michael. The phrase "who says" is repeated, which highlights how different people might challenge or question assumptions or statements. When Yousef says, have a ball, he's probably referring to enjoying what you're doing or making the most of a situation. But then, Yousef questions that by saying, you wouldn't know, implying that some things are hard to understand unless you've experienced them yourself. Michael then responds with to me, which emphasizes that perspectives are often personal. And finally, Yousef refers to this guy, which could be pointing to someone who believes something different or has a different opinion. Overall, this slide illustrates how perceptions and opinions can vary greatly depending on who's expressing them. It ties into our broader theme about understanding different viewpoints and the importance of listening carefully in any dialogue. So let's take a closer look at these questions. First, what did he say? This invites us to consider the actual words or messages conveyed by the individual. It's about understanding the content of his communication. Next, what does this guy eat? This question points us towards his current diet or what he's consuming now. It's important because it can tell us a lot about his habits or health. Moving on to what has this guy eat? This shifts the focus slightly to past eating habits, perhaps over a certain period. It helps us see patterns or changes in his diet. Lastly, what does this guy eat? This is more of a general inquiry into his typical diet or what he usually consumes. All these questions connect to the overall theme of understanding behavior, habits, and communication, whether it's through words or actions like eating. By examining what he says and what he eats, we're gaining a fuller picture of who he is and what influences him. This holistic view is essential in analyzing behavior and making informed conclusions. So, what did he say? Well, it's interesting because sometimes we really have to pay close attention to the details of what's being communicated. The phrases like, oh, wouldn't you know? Or, oh, would you know? Often reflect surprise or a bit of irony, hinting that maybe the message isn't as straightforward as it seems. And then there's, oh, you wouldn't know, which suggests a bit of mystery or perhaps that the information isn't readily available or understood. These expressions highlight how language can convey subtle nuances, especially when we're trying to interpret someone's tone or intent. Connecting this to our overall theme, it reminds us that understanding the underlying meaning in communication is crucial, particularly in situations where assumptions can lead us astray. So, paying attention to these cues helps us grasp the full picture and avoid misunderstandings. So let's look at this slide and focus on what it's really telling us. When we ask, what did he say? We're exploring different ways to express the same idea, talking about someone enjoying themselves. First, we have I'm having a ball. Notice the informal contraction here, which is common in speech, making it sound more relaxed and conversational. Next, we see the more standard form, I'm having a ball, which is still casual but clearer. And then, the complete form, I am having a ball, which is a little more formal but still straightforward. The key point here is understanding how we can vary our language depending on context or tone. All these expressions mean the same thing. Someone is really enjoying themselves. This ties into our overall theme of language flexibility and how different expressions can convey the same message, just with different nuances. So, whether you're speaking casually or more formally, you have these options to express enjoyment in a lively, engaging way. Let's take a moment to read the phrases on this slide and understand their meanings. First, we have real talk. This phrase is often used to indicate honest, straightforward communication about an important or sometimes sensitive topic. It's about being genuine and open, cutting through the noise to focus on what's truly important. Understanding real talk helps us appreciate the value of transparency and authenticity in our conversations, especially when discussing challenges or difficult truths. It encourages us to be honest, which builds trust and fosters more meaningful connections. By emphasizing real talk, we're reinforcing the idea that honest dialogue is key to growth, problem-solving, and creating a positive environment. So, as we move forward in this presentation, keep in mind the importance of genuine communication. It's a cornerstone of effective leadership and collaboration. Write your ending here. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize the importance of crafting a strong conclusion that leaves a lasting impression. Your ending should summarize the key points we've discussed, reinforcing the main message of your presentation. It's also a great opportunity to inspire your audience to take action or think differently. Remember, a memorable ending ties everything together and connects back to your overall theme. So, take some time to craft a thoughtful closing that resonates with your listeners and reinforces the purpose of your talk. So, if I had a lot of money, I think I'd probably give 1/3 of it to my family, to help support them. The next third, I'd spend on traveling to different places, exploring new cultures and experiences. Michael mentioned that he wouldn't even know what to do with so much money, which really highlights how overwhelming sudden wealth can be. To put this into perspective, there are incredible stories out there, like a guy who won $1 million on a TV game show, or even a family that won a staggering $100 million. These stories remind us of how life-changing such winnings can be, and also raise questions about how people manage such vast sums. This connects to the overall theme of wealth and decision-making. How do we handle big money, and what do we value most? It's about understanding that money, while powerful, comes with choices and responsibilities. Let's wrap up with some practical steps to reinforce what we've learned today. On the workbook page 302, you'll find exercise D, which is designed to help you apply these concepts in real-world scenarios. As homework, I encourage you to go through this exercise thoroughly. This will solidify your understanding and give you confidence in using these techniques. Remember, the key points we've discussed, whether it's the core principles or the strategies, are all about enhancing your skills and applying them effectively. So, take your time, reflect on how these ideas connect to the bigger picture we've been exploring, and practice. This active engagement is crucial for truly mastering the material. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing how you implement these in your work.